Hello, everyone. How is everyone on this evening? I wanted to share with you a woman facing execution. And so she's been in the out of Gatesville, Texas, in the Mountain View unit of the prison, 14 years on death row, and they are actually wanting to execute her on April 27th of this month. Now, this is a mother that they are saying fatally beat her 2-year-old daughter. Now, the judge is saying that there was things that were not done correctly in her trial. So the lawmakers are actually trying to get this thrown out, or at least a stay so that she does not they're trying to commute her sentence or get a grant of execution reprieve, because she did not get basically a fair trial. And so Kim Kardashian is actually also speaking up about this as well. So I'm going to actually share this story with you. And I often wonder, if someone truly, uh, we're not able to truly say that they're guilty of something, I don't think that the death penalty, they should actually face the death penalty. And if they do, I don't think that they should be, you know, murdered or killed. And I'm going to say it like that because once you take someone's life, you can never bring that person back. And do we have compassion for the victims? Absolutely. But if there's mistakes made in someone's trial and they didn't get a fair trial and their rights were violated, civil and constitutional, whatever you want to say, I think it's important um, that they're not executed until all I's are dotted and all T's are crossed. And as humans, we can make errors all the time. We err as humans. We're not perfect. And I think it's important for the judicial system to start taking accountability for the mistakes that they make. Like with the video I did of this man that so far no one has watched, but he spent 8 years with no evidence and no conviction. And now he's going to sue everyone involved because he really, they couldn't prove that this man killed anyone at this party that he was at. And so when I look at this mother who is a woman that's facing execution on April 27th, and you read that um, they made some errors in her trial, then why would they proceed to go ahead and execute her when she could very well be innocent? And it's so sad that our judicial system doesn't want to take responsibility when they convict someone, and even when it's wrong and they see that they have made errors, they don't want to go back and say we did wrong. And I think that's the biggest part in our judicial system that we are facing in the judicial system as people in America, is that when the judicial system, the people that are supposed to protect and serve, the people that are supposed to be fair, that took an oath, when they find out they've done wrong, they still are not willing to correct this. And so let me get into the story with you. It says a group of bipartisan Texas lawmakers are on Wednesday visited a death row inmate whose execution they are trying to stop amid doubts about whether she fatally beat her 2-year-old daughter. Now, State Representative Jeff Leach, a Republican, and Joe Moody, a Democrat, led a group of lawmakers to the Mountain View unit in Gatesville, Texas, where the state houses women on death row. Melissa Lucio faces execution on April 27th. Now, they say we are blessed to have the opportunity to meet with Melissa, to pray with her, to spend time with her, and we're more resolute and committed than ever to fighting over the next 3 weeks to save her life, Leach told the Associated Press in an interview after the meeting. Lucio, excuse me, was convicted of capital murder for the 2007 death of her daughter, Mariah. Prosecutors say Mariah was the victim of child abuse, and there is no evidence that would acquit Lucio of her daughter's death. But Lucio's lawyers say jurors never heard forensic evidence that would have explained Mariah's various injuries were actually caused by a fall days before her death. They also say Lucio wasn't allowed to present evidence questioning the validity of her confession, which they allege was not actually a confession and was given under duress after hours of relentless questioning. And let me stop right here because a lot of times they do that. They spend hours of questioning, the suspect, or the person of interest. At times they spend hours, especially if they focus on a particular subject matter or subject, they will focus on that for hours and have this relentless questioning to where there you may not even get to eat. There is no water you can drink, nothing like that, and they beat you down and they say things to you in those rooms. I'm pretty sure. I've never been in those rooms, but I believe that they do say things to the extreme that the people feel like that person sitting there, that individual, that they have no choice but to say they did something that they really didn't do. Now, I tried to go back and find this story because I wanted more hear about this story and read about it. But basically, I couldn't really find anything about. Basically, is that she's been facing execution, for 14 years for beating, her 2-year-old, which in fact they said the 2-year-old actually fell down the steps and that she really didn't go get help for the 2-year-old right away. So among those who have doubts about Lucio's guilt are a bipartisan group of 83 Texas House members led by Leach and Moody. They sent the state's Board of Pardons and Paroles and Governor Greg Abbott a letter last month asking them to grant an execution reprieve or commute her sentence. A spokeswoman for Abbott's office did not immediately return an email seeking comment. Leach said he and 6 other lawmakers toured the prison for about 2 hours before meeting privately with Lucio for about 40 minutes. The meeting was first reported by the Quorum Report, which covers Texas politics. The lawmakers encouraged Lucio and talked with her about their efforts to stop her execution, Leach said. It was just a sweet, sweet time together. Very powerful, Leach said. Now, after Wednesday's meeting, Moody tweeted that she prayed with us and hugged us. Today might be the last genuine human contact she has before the state kills her. Efforts to stop Lucio's execution have also received support from reality TV star Kim Kardashian West and from several jurors at her trial who are now expressing doubts about her conviction. And see, that's the thing too, is when jurors are not given or presented all of the evidence to make a profound or a wise decision about someone's you know faith, someone's livelihood, their life, then they are going to go with what's been presented. And it's really sad that a lot of times evidence is suppressed or it's not presented, all of the evidence. And I think that all of the evidence, forensic, every single piece of evidence that they have should be presented. Because when you really look at this and things and examine this situation, if the jurors don't have the evidence they need to make a wise decision about someone's livelihood, their life, then they're going to make a decision with what they have. And so now you have jurors out here expressing doubt because there was forensic evidence that was not presented. And my question is, was it deliberate? And there are times it is deliberate. Was this deliberate that forensic evidence was not presented, um, so that they could get a conviction because they had went so far to try to appease the public or appease family members or whatever they were doing. They wanted a conviction. And it's really sad that we in America as citizens, we continue to read and read these stories, hear about these stories, they're reported, and whether someone else reports them or I do it or someone else does it, it's really sad to hear how this continues to go on right here in our very own uh, American so-called judicial system. And so I can't help but to wonder, is this mother or this woman, as they called her, but she was a mother and she's still a mother, whether she's mothering her children or not. She's behind prison walls, but she still had children. She birthed these children. And we do know that there are parents that do hurt their children and it's intentional. And then there are some that's accidental. And could it be that this was accidental because maybe she wasn't being watched thoroughly, the little girl, or maybe, they weren't paying attention or the little child wandered off. Like I came across a story yesterday where a little girl wandered into a backyard uh, unattended. And a 2-year-old pit bull mauled this little girl so bad that she had to be transported from one medical center to a trauma hospital because she had to have 180 stitches on her face. But the total was 200 because he bit her on her pelvic, her face. I mean, this is a 3-year-old little girl. And so the dog has been taken to the one of the animal shelters that's actually far away from where it happened in the city that it happened. And the dog is in another city and they're waiting for the owner to come forward. Otherwise, they're going to put the animal to sleep. But just looking at the picture of that animal, he looked very mean for a 2-year-old dog. And the fact is he was tethered, meaning he was on a leash. And if he hadn't have been on that leash, he would have killed that little girl. So, is it negligence on the parents when things like this happen? But is it really something that she beat this child? This is something we'll probably never know. But I'm hoping that she gets another trial or they delay the execution or don't do it at all. Being that in this article, when I go ahead and finish reading it, is that she didn't get her trial. There were some errors made. So let's get back into it. And it says, in an op-ed published Sunday in the Houston Chronicle, juror Johnny Galvin Jr. said he believes jurors weren't given all the information needed to make a proper decision and now feels deep regret for sentencing Lucio to death. The idea that my decision to take another person's life was not based on complete and accurate information in a fair trial is horrifying. There are so many problems in this case that I believe she must not be executed, Galvin wrote. Now, that's very important because this is coming from a juror, and I'm not sure if he was, the captain, as they call it, or the lead juror that was over the other jurors. But however, this is very horrifying, and it's a profound statement that he makes because how many times have you served on a jury as a juror, and you have to go back and wonder because sentencing someone to death, to be executed is not an easy fate or task. And you have got to think about it in your heart. Did I do the right thing? And now I'm finding out that there was information that we didn't receive that says that she should not be executed. And so in 2019, a 3-judge panel of the 5th U.S. Court of Appeals overturned Lucio's conviction, ruling she was deprived of her constitutional right to present a meaningful defense. And when I think about that part of that, the meaningful defense, I think about R. Kelly's attorneys originally, the ones that did not present a meaningful defense. And you have Miss Bonjean that says that they did not do their job. And even me not being a law student or anything in that field, I didn't study that in my discipline. But what I'm going to say is that under the constitutional right, you have a right to have meaningful defense. You have a right to have competent attorneys to represent you. And so when you have attorneys that are filing silly motions for stuff that's irrelevant or things that are going to make the defendant uh, even more guilty, or it's going to bring more harm when the case goes to trial, um, that's a miscarriage of justice. And and so I think that just looking at that and seeing how his case went, and it's just really bad to deprive anybody, regardless of what people think of this man or even this woman. I don't know her personally. I don't even know R. Kelly personally. But regardless of what people think, and you know, let's get to the truth of the matter and hold everybody accountable. And so when you look at that case with him, there's a lot of people that don't like him, and they just want to put on blinders and not hold everybody accountable that needs to be held accountable. And it's really sad how I see how people will play both sides, and or how people just will not accept the truth because they're so caught up in their own personal views that they're not willing to have an open mind and to see the forest for the trees. They have tunnel vision, or they're so caught up in their own views that they're not willing to listen or hear from others. And when they don't want to listen, they won't hear. And when they don't hear, that means they're not listening and they don't want to listen. And so, getting back to Miss Lucio, however, the full court in 2021 said the conviction had to be upheld for procedural reasons. And I was wondering what these procedural reasons meant, because I think it's sad that you're going to take someone's life, even though their constitutional rights were deprived. They were deprived of their constitutional right to present a meaningful defense. You're going to take someone's life over procedural reasons, and not really give this woman another chance to see if she's really guilty of what they're saying she's guilty of. Now, Lucio's attorneys has asked the appeals court to recall its decision, but the request was denied last week. But in a footnote in the brief decision, Fifth Circuit Judge Patrick Higginbotham called Lucio's case a systemic failure, producing a train of injustice which only the hand of the governor, can halt. So if this is the case, the governor has to step up and to, uh, you know, step up to recall its decision. And this has to be, uh, you know, this has to be from the governor to halt this execution. And I agree that this woman should not be executed, because if there was procedural errors, was deprived of her constitutional right to present meaningful defense, and all the evidence, forensic evidence, wasn't presented in that case, then yes, the governor needs to recall its decision. They need to recall that decision. And so, and so, Lucio 53 will be the first Latina executed by Texas and the first woman since 2014. So only 17 women have been executed in the United States since the Supreme Court lifted its ban on the death penalty in 1976, most recently in January of 2021. And so you can see the states that still have the death penalty, they're actually like in that rose pink looking color. And then in the states, that have no death penalty, looks kind of like a gray. And then you can see, like in the, the red, the dark red, like the number on death row as of January 2012, total overall is 3,199 inmates, 6 U.S. military, and then 60 federal, and 3 was already executed, but there was 0 out of the 6 military. And then in New Hampshire was 1, and then so you look at 11-1 for Connecticut, Delaware 19, 15, and then Maryland 5 and 5. 5 was, and 5 was on death row. There's no on death row in New Hampshire. And when I look at this, and then you go back, look at Texas. Texas, there was 312 that were executed, and there's 481 inmates on death row. And you could just kind of look at this map and stuff like that, and it's just really, I believe, a sad situation here. So, I will do a follow up on this as I get updates on the story, because I'm following it. But again, because of that, I do believe anytime that there's errors in people's trial, not all evidence, forensic or evidence is presented, there is no way someone should get life in prison or even death row when there is when there is, errors in a trial. And I look at that. It should be, it should be a stay, the execution should be halted, you know, especially when there's systemic failure, and things like that. And there is no reason why someone should be, their life should be taken because of some, procedural reason. That's just so so grievous to me. And so leave your comments below. Let me know what you think, and if you even heard of this actual inmate, Mrs. Uh, Lucio, Maria Lucio. If you know about this story, and you have the information, put it in the comments below. But yeah, I'd love to hear your respectful comments about this situation, because it just doesn't set well, and it shouldn't set well with anyone, when it comes down to wanting to execute someone, and they did not get you know a fair trial, or there was things that happened where forensic evidence and things like that, all the evidence wasn't presented, and you have a juror speaking out about it that ruled in favor of the death penalty, but then now is saying no because we didn't get all the evidence, and so we made our decision based on what was presented, and now we're finding out after the fact. And if you kill this woman or anyone that's on death row, and information is found out after the fact, and that's what has happened to some inmates that have been executed, and there was a lot of question about you know the evidence and if they did it or not. So leave your comments below. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like the video. That's a good thing, to like the video. Share the video. Please share this video. And then subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber. And if you want to give to the channel and donate to the channel, you're more than welcome to. I always have my information in the description box. If you want to give to to donate to the channel, I would truly appreciate that. And don't forget to go on Instagram if you have Instagram, and look at OitsSharine Jewelry on there. I make a lot of pieces and put them out there, and they are for sale. So DM me if you're interested in anything. But I truly appreciate you all tuning in and following my channel and listening to the videos. And I try to give a variety, even though I talk about a lot of my spiritual stuff because that is who I really am. But I also have a passion for things when I see the injustice. I have a passion for trying to help other people and trying to get that information out there. And so I always think, how much more can I do? What else can I do? When I see injustice, when I see wrongdoing. And so we have a lot of work to do in this world. And little silly beefs is not going to get us nowhere. But when we can look at what's really going on in the world and try to make an effort, a contribution, and even if it's you think a small contribution, but just the fact that you speak up, just the fact that you share these videos, just the fact that you might go to a city council meeting or you might go to a rally and you're standing for what is right. Those are things that are important. And so who has time for the things that are not of God? We want to be in the will of God on everything that we do. We want to be able to please Him in everything that we do. So God bless you all on today, this evening. Peace out, and I will talk to you soon.